sunshine! Today's video is going to be all about my most used bullet journal supplies, so everything I'll show you is stuff I really love and use all the time. I'll also go through the prices of everything and explain a bit of the pros and cons of some of these tools. So if you've ever wanted to know more about my favorite bullet journal supplies, then stay tuned, and I'll be sure to link everything in the description box below so that you can check things out for yourself if you want to. And at the end of this video, I'll be announcing the winner of the chalk marker giveaway from last week's video, so stay tuned for that as well if you've already entered. If you didn't, well, I'm sorry but you've missed this one, but don't worry, I'll definitely host more giveaways in the future. To start things off, obviously an essential bullet journaling tool is the bullet journal itself. For this, you could use any notebook you want, but I highly recommend getting one that has a dot grid because it makes it easier to draw straight lines and get creative with your layouts. I've used a couple different notebooks over the years. I started off with these Moleskine notebooks, and last year I used a Scribbles That Matter notebook, and now this year I've decided to go with the Archer and Olive notebook. All of these worked for what I needed at the time, so I can go through a bit of what I liked and didn't like about these notebooks. Through 2017 and 2018, I used these Moleskine notebooks, which I loved at the time, but I realized after a while that I wanted to be able to take my bullet journal with me, and I didn't want to lug around these giant books. That being said, Moleskine does have regular A5 size notebooks as well, but I originally wanted the bigger ones to have more space for my layouts. These extra large notebooks run for about $30 Canadian, and the A5 size runs for about $25. In 2019, I did some research and found that the Scribbles That Matter notebook might work better for me because it had whiter pages, came in a fun lavender color, and had slightly thicker pages as compared to the Moleskine. Unfortunately, one of the cons is that they don't seem to sell all of their options all year round, so depending when you check their website or Amazon, there might not be any options in stock. I didn't like that because ideally I'd find my holy grail notebook and then be able to buy the same one each year. On their website right now, there seems to only be a teal one available for $30. For 2020, I went with the Archer and Olive, and I'm really loving it so far. The pages are even brighter and thicker than the Scribbles That Matter, which means they can hold up to more medium types, and it also means there's much less ghosting and bleed through. Archer and Olive notebooks are only available on their company website and go for about $32. I got myself the hardcover one, which is this nice shiny material, versus their other books, which look like they have a more fabric-y cover. I just figured this would be easier to keep clean because the truth of the matter is that your bullet journal will get pretty banged up and dirty as it gets dragged around through the year, but that's okay. It just means it's well loved. Before we move on, I want to take a second to recognize my newest patron, Dawn. Welcome to the team. I'm incredibly grateful for your support, and I hope you love the bonus content and printables. If you want to see your name in the credits of every video and get free stuff, then come join the team over on Patreon. I'll leave a link in the description box below. Now that the notebook has been chosen, it's time to start sketching some layouts. This is everything I use to sketch in my bullet journal. Of course, all you realistically need is any old pencil and eraser, but these are the tools I love to use. I use a mechanical pencil mostly because it's just so convenient to punch out more lead instead of searching for a sharpener every time the pencil gets dull. This one was about $6 Canadian for 2 pencils, a bunch of extra lead, and even some eraser refills for the eraser at the top. I use an eraser stick because it's easier to get into smaller areas to erase. I've had this one for years and I can't find it online, but I linked a similar, potentially better one by Tombow that's only $5. For my regular eraser, I use these black Tombow brand ones. They're $5 for a pack of 3. They work just as well, if not better, than the white eraser I had before, but now they also look cleaner because you can't see the lead buildup on them. This eraser brush I've had for years, and I just use it to brush away eraser shavings so that I don't drag my hand through my sketches and accidentally smudge everything. I originally got mine as part of a whole supply kit back in college, but I linked a similar one that's $12 on Amazon. I rarely use a ruler because I tend to just trace the dot grid in my notebook to get straight lines, but sometimes if I want an extra crisp look or I need to draw a diagonal line that doesn't line up with the grid, then I'll use this metal ruler. It has a cork backing so it won't slide around while you're drawing, and it's only $6 for this small one, which is also easy to carry with you or tuck into the back of your notebook. The last thing I use for sketching is this circle template, which I've also had since college. This is totally not necessary as you can absolutely freehand draw a circle, but if you're doing a lot on one page and want them to look uniform, this can be really useful. This particular one doesn't seem to be available anymore, but I linked an even better one for $11 on Amazon that even has different sizes of rounded corners so you can get perfect rounded boxes as well. Alright, once the sketching is done and your layout is looking crisp, you'll want to trace everything in pen so it doesn't go anywhere. I've been using the exact same brand and type of pen since I was about 10 years old. I guess I just found a favorite and stuck to it. It's this Uniball rollerball pen in the micro size. I find their fine point too chunky, so I use the micro, which is 0.5 millimeters thick. I prefer this style of pen to both a ballpoint pen, which I find sort of dry to write with, or to a fine liner, which is more like a tiny marker. I find these are perfect for getting nice, easy-flowing inked lines. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe, and ring the bell to get notifications every time I post a new video. When I do need lines of different widths, I use these DeSerres Precision pens, which is just a set of fine liners in a few different sizes, including a brush pen. In this set, we have a teensy 0.05 size, a 0.1, 0.3, 0.5, and the brush pen, as I mentioned. This set doesn't seem to be available online, and DeSerres is a Canadian store, so it's not really available for everyone. So I'd say a good replacement for these would be the Sigma Micron fine liners, which I haven't used myself, but I've seen a lot of other bullet journalers recommend them. There's a set on Amazon for $26 Canadian, which is a bit pricey compared to the $15 or so I spent on my set, but it's a bigger set with more size range and still includes a brush pen. The last essential part of the inking process is having a way to fix your mistakes when they inevitably happen. For this, I use whiteout tape, which is only $9 for a 3-pack, and I often use a white gel pen as well. The ones I have are also only $9 for a 3-pack of pens. So now that your layout is all inked out, you'll definitely want to add some color. I have a few favorite mediums I use most in my bullet journal. First up are these Zebra mild liners. They're like highlighter markers, but more mellow colors than the regular neon highlighters. I bought these because I saw a lot of other bullet journalers using them, but now I don't use them as much as I used to. They're not bad in any way, especially at the mild price point of $9 for this whole set, but admittedly, now that I have more pastel colors of Tombow markers in my toolkit, I don't feel the need to reach for these as often. By nature of them being highlighters, they're not very opaque, which means they can be a bit streaky if you're trying to color in a larger area, but they are great for tiny pops of color like a drop shadow or an underline. Next up, I have these Crayola Super Tips, which are incredibly affordable if you just want a huge color range for barely any upfront cost. It's less than $10 for this entire pack of 50. I have a lot of the same issues with these as I do with the mild liners though. They can be very streaky, but they are great for just having basically any color you could possibly want. Next, I have this beautiful set of Faber-Castell colored pencils. Now, these are not cheap. They're extremely high quality pencils and I saved up to get them a few years ago. I think this big set cost close to $60 when I got them, but I love them to bits. Of course, you could use any old colored pencils, but I use these for other art projects as well as my bullet journaling, so it does help to have the really nice quality ones. Last, but certainly not least, are my beloved Tombow markers. If you've ever watched any bullet journal video on YouTube ever, you will have heard of these already, and for good reason. I wasn't sure they'd be worth the hype, so I started buying only a few and slowly built my collection of colors over the last few years. I love these because they have the brush end to get a nice brush lettering if you're able to do that. I'm still not great at it, or just to color in large areas or create flat lines of color. And then it's got the fine tip at the other end to do more detailed work. Depending on the color and the paper you're using, they can still end up a bit streaky, but they tend to build up nicely and come in a great range of colors. I usually buy them one at a time when I need a particular color, which is usually about $4 or $5 at my local art store, or you can get sets on Amazon for around $20. Even if you get nothing else, I'd suggest getting just a light gray Tombow marker for adding drop shadows or light touches of depth to your layouts. My favorite one is N95. Alright, now it's time for final touches. Your layout is sketched, inked, and colored. What more could you do? Well, it's always nice to add little highlights or details to your art to make it pop even more. For this, I use my white or metallic gel pens or my washi tape. I got my set of 3 metallic gel pens, gold, copper, and silver, for $9 on Amazon, but there's a bigger pack of lots of metallic colors for only $15 that might be more worth it if that's in your budget and you want more color options. I also linked the exact set of washi tapes I got, which was $15 for all 7 rolls. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you some breaking news. Last week I told you that one lucky DarkSunlight subscriber was going to win some beautiful chalk markers to make some awesome art with. Well, the time is now to select a winner. Drum roll, please. Cue the drum roll. And the winner is... Congratulations! I'll be sending you a message shortly to get your information to pass to Chocola so that they can send you your prize. Thanks again to everyone who watched the video and participated. Now back to our regularly scheduled video. And that's it. Those are all my favorite bullet journaling supplies. Be sure to tell me in the comments below what your favorite Bujo or art supplies are. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time.